Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to Friday Nights with Lucky and Cortney, Stars of the Morning Light, Esoteric, Esoteric Tea. Oh, my tongue's tied up. But I don't see anyone in yet, but we're just going to start and go from there.
Yeah,
Um, it's a nice Friday, relaxing time. There's a couple weekends before Thanksgiving. Can't wait for that.
yeah. What are you, oh geez, I'm sorry.
No,
Um,
it's fine. It's the nature of the business.
um, what are you doing for Thanksgiving, do you know?
Working.
Oh, that's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, they said that the Friday after Thanksgiving, my coworker will take that shift, and I'm like, we don't work Friday nights. He goes, oh yeah, yeah. Hello, Laurie Elderkin. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, hi, Lori. And I know that you popped into my show earlier today at the very end, and I didn't get a chance to say hello, so good to see you, Lori. Um, Lucky, I don't know if I told you, I canceled Thanksgiving like weeks ago. What
Oh,
I mean by cancel is, um, I'm not hosting anyone or anything.
mhm.
I'm going back to when we were redoing the kitchen in this house. I was without a kitchen at Thanksgiving. And so we just had turkey sandwiches and like chicken noodle soup that I did in the crock pot. I'm going back to that this year. I need a break. I'd rather have that day, even if it's just me sitting on the couch. I'd rather have that day of like nothing than cooking and hosting and traveling and all that jazz. So I think that's what we're going to do again. We're just going to have a good, healthy pot of some kind of soup or stew that I make and probably some really good turkey sandwiches. I'll buy the good cheese,
Oh yeah.
that kind of thing. And, yeah, because I needed it this year, and Brad needs it too. Just a low key, low maintenance, not all the hustle and bustle. So that's what
Mhm.
we're going to be doing.
Hello, Scotty boy. Thanks for coming.
Hey,
Yeah,
good to see you, Scotty.
yeah.
Hey, go
Some of the
ahead,
best
Lucky.
Thanksgivings were the ones where just a simple thing where we just got together and had simple things. Not big, extravagant cleanup afterwards. Just come, bring a few things. We had some friendsgiving. Oh, those were the
Yeah,
best because they were
those are.
after like the big family things, and whatever's left you could bring to friendsgiving, and it was like it just eat when you can, you hang out,
Yeah,
watch some crazy movies and stuff like that. Yeah,
yeah,
those
that's
are the
what I'm
best.
thinking. Yeah. Hey, Lucky, okay, so you got to remember this. Okay, you might not. I don't know. Um, when I was young, every year on Thanksgiving, kind of at like 7 o'clock or so, probably when it's like, okay, kids, go lay down and chill out, watch a movie, they would play on, I believe it was probably our PBS station in Chicagoland. They played the 1977 cartoon of The Hobbit. Do you remember that? The 1977 version of The Hobbit. It was a cartoon.
Yeah, I've seen it several times. Yeah, yeah.
Oh my God, I love it. Well, and I haven't seen it since I was a kid, but that to me was like, oh, it's Thanksgiving. The Hobbit's on. And I went to go find it, to order it. I didn't do it yet because I assumed that was going to be maybe $5. Yeah, it's probably more like 14, but there were ones out there for like $30,
Hmm.
$40 for a damn cartoon. And I was like, what? But I think it's because of the, I want to say, uniqueness of it, and maybe the time frame of it. I don't know.
Well, that's the reason it took so long to do the live action movie because the book was so sacred to a lot of people, and the cartoons were so close to the original text that anyone who tried to remake it would basically says you'll never beat the cartoon. There's no way you can make
Oh, it's
this
so
this
good.
movie live with real people. Forget it.
Yeah, and Brad, I don't think has seen it. Which I don't. It's like,
Really.
where were you? It aired every year. on Thanksgiving for like 3 or 4 years straight. And same with like It's a Wonderful Life. Brad
Hmm.
had never really watched that until we were together. And I'm thinking, where were you, kid? This airs every Christmas. Like,
I got to be honest. I've actually never seen all of it at once. I've seen it in parts.
okay. Oh,
It's
okay.
been on the TV at get-togethers and family things, but I've never really sat down and watched it myself. It's Wonderful Life.
I suggest doing that because, and I do think, because of course Brad was older when he finally watched it all the way through. Because I think he's the same way. Like it just wasn't the whole thing. And I think it hits men a little bit differently, especially family men, right? Dads. And so I think I suggest watching it. Just give it a whole full go from beginning to end. And as an adult, there's little nuances in that script that are brilliant. Just brilliant. So I suggest that. We're going to be together that Black Friday, though, too. Definitely.
Yep, 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 definitely, yep.
Excellent. All right. So we got
Uh,
Scotty, we got Lori, we got Seeker.
yep, Secret Truth. Yep, Shelley. Thank you. Thank you, Secret Truth, Shelley. Thank you for being here.
Cool. Happy Friday, everybody. So everyone knows I had the flu very bad. It was so horrible. So I am still in recovery. So if I cough, if I lose my voice a little bit, I'm present with you. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
So what do we got
So,
shaking tonight, Lucky?
inner voice. We're going to discuss what is inner voice and what's it like to have inner voice. And one of the questions I've been looking up ideas and how to kind of capture the concept of inner voice. Hello, Robert V. Thank you for coming. Inner voice. How do you personally define inner monologue? And then basically, it's a voice in your mind that comes and goes when you want or when you want, without any control. Or two, it's it's when you intentionally talk to yourself in your head, like to work through a problem or read it yourself. Number three, as far as I can tell, it's a voice some people seem to have in their heads for silent verbal processing. And the fourth one is I don't know. So how would you define your inner voice?
Whoa, okay. I wasn't. I should have expected that, shouldn't I have? Like, if we're
Okay,
gonna be talking about this, to have
then
at least
if
some
it's hard,
concept.
yeah, I can soften it up. Is it a active process? Is it just reciting thing like a narration, or is it more like an analytical thing where you see something, you think about it, you discuss it in your head? Is there a discussion, or is it just a narration?
Well, so mine. I know we're talking just about quote unquote inner voice, but I have all of the innerness stuff going on. So it could be like the voice is going, but it's also showing me pictures of what I'm thinking at the same time and all sorts of things. All the sensations of whatever's happening. Um, my inner voice, it's interesting because it's like it would be the part of Courtney, and I am talking in third person for a moment. It's like it would be the part of Courtney that no one gets to know. That no one's with ever. It's that, you ever heard that old saying that no one ever can really know someone else
Hmm.
completely? It's because
Yes.
of that. There's so much inner information. It could be conversation, it could be strategizing, it could be debating with myself. I don't do that too much anymore. But back when I mean, I would just sit for hours because I'd be doing pros and cons lists, debating on just making a decision, right?
Yes.
It could be so many variations of whatever pertains to my life. It also, my inner voice likes to sit around and solve the world's problems until I step in and say, shut up. Like I got things to do. Um, so it's a lot of all of Cortney. Also, the stuff that's attached to very high emotions for me. I will replay conversations and what I should have said and done with that. I was doing that today. Um, or intense emotions. Like, I can also make myself cry if I need to. Like, let's say it's like, oh my God, I know I need to cry, which everyone does need to cry, people, but often life doesn't allow us to just, I don't know, spontaneously start crying. So I will set a time, I'll set aside some time, and that inner voice will help me get there. To be like, hey, yeah, you need this release. So it's like, I think it's the parts of Cortney that I don't necessarily share with other people. That it's mine. It's private. It helps me organize all that I am, all the parts of me. So like my mom would say that it was my middle name is Irene. She would say it was the Irene in me. And and I get that because the Irene in me really does love going to art museums by herself and looking at all the art and being inspired. Really loves reading a book and getting very engrossed in fiction. It's all the parts of me that no one gets to see that I was raised to understand is that's the Irene aspect of me. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I mean, that's my answer. I don't
Be-
know. Like, I
But
wouldn't know. Go ahead.
what, see, the experience of having an inner voice. Let me go through my side of the story.
Okay.
When I am living in life, going through, there's always constant chatter between two parts of my brain about analyzing absolutely everything. And that's my inner voice, is analyzing absolutely everything. And I, and it comes to my wife, I ask her, what's going through your mind now? She goes, nothing at all. And I don't know what that's like. And there are people who have no voice in their head whatsoever, and there are people who have a single voice in their head, and there are other people who have multiple mind chatter.
Well, that's I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Like, so yours is it's got a singular purpose of it is analyzing. Is that what you're
Mhm.
saying?
Yes.
Okay, mine's not that. Mine can be sitting. I mean, it's compartments in one given just moment. I could literally be talking to you and be solving the world's problems in one part. I could also then be thinking about what I'm making for dinner in another part. I could also be thinking, and I'm hearing all of it and
Yeah. See,
seeing all of it.
that's what I was looking for. What
Okay.
is your experience like? Because we have to explain to people who don't have the inner voice
Okay.
what the experience is like. And
Okay.
that's exactly the same thing where it's like different aspects of me, you know, there's always issues in life and how do we get through this, or and because my life is always struggles and problems because my work or my home life or something comes up, so it's always something in my head has an answer. And when I that's another that's what with having the inner voice, not having an answer is one of my biggest kryptonites, my biggest problems. Because that's one of the things at work. There's an issue going on, and there is no answer for me. It's there's no right, and I tell the bosses I can't work like this, and they go, "Oh,
Yeah.
no, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Don't stress out." And I'm like, "You don't understand. I need a plan. You want me to be at a certain level at a certain point. I need a plan to get there. Oh yeah, it's in this sheet." And I'm like, "No, it's not. The sheet is garbage. It's not given a definable process to get there. You give the end results, but no real steps on how to help me get there."
So your
Yeah.
inner dialogue, is it like analyzing what are the steps? Like what are my next steps? What is this? What is
Always.
that?
Yes,
To
always.
okay. Okay. Um I have that too. I have that too. Um, I think about all the little details, all the little what ifs that could happen, and then I plan for all of those, right? But then I have I have multiple layers. I mean, at the same time, I could be writing a story in my head. I,
Yep.
it, so I, I don't know what to say. I do know though, when I was in case management and I was around all these young people and other coworkers, they would kind of, it's not like they would make fun, well, they would kind of make fun of me because they would do the whole thing of like, where'd you go, Courtney? Like I could have a kid standing in front of me telling me all this stuff that just happened and I am intently listening, but they could visibly tell I'm somewhere else as well. But then they would be done talking and I would answer them. I would tell them exactly what to do. I would just go with everything that they said. I mean, I was taking it in. And so the kids and a lot of coworkers would be like, how the hell does she do that? She looks like she's not paying attention to you at all, that she doesn't care what you're saying. But then when she speaks, she clearly heard everything that you just said. Well, it's because I have all these things happening all at once and I can do all that. I didn't know other people couldn't.
Yeah, that's another problem where I can be talking to somebody, writing something down, hear exactly what they say, and have two different streams of consciousness at the same time. Where
Mhm.
listening to what they have to say, writing something down so to get it off my head to focus on them, and they say I'm not
Mhm.
paying attention, and no, and then I go back and I explain the conversation. I just needed to put a bookmark here so I could be
Mhm.
free to have a conversation. That happens at work all the time where people will be telling me something, and I realize, oh, I got to do something, and I'm writing it down. Okay, and then I stop and go, this is okay. Then I focus back on them, and
But
they then
Lucky,
we have
so can
yeah.
I ask a question? I love what Robert says there. Um what can I ask a question? Is yours solely just to strategize? You don't ever like go off on somebody inside your head? You
No,
don't
that yeah,
ever.
no. I'm trying to explain something that, that's just one of the aspects of it. Yes, I
Okay.
do have I do make up scenarios where I resolve situations because
Mhm.
sometimes you can't, you have to let it go, but I can't. So I rerun it, play it on a best case scenario where we both come out ahead. And then I can use that whole scenario for, okay, I learned something from there. So if this happens again, I know what to watch for. Yes.
Okay. What about it like let's say your feelings get hurt. Do you run a conversation as to like, oh, I should have maybe said this in that moment, or do I notify that person that they're a jerk? You know, that kind of thing.
Mm, well, you have two different things, entirely different. But one, yes, I go over it, I analyze it. Yes, I find it would, to think about it. If I hurt my feelings, but do I confront the person? No, I let it go because I analyze it and I process it within me. And when someone offends me or hurts my feelings, it's not their problem. Nothing I can do to
Yeah,
fix
right.
that. It's needs to be fixed in me, and I look and go, what about the situation is hurting my feelings? Is it my history, or is it the situation? Is there something I can do, to remedy the situation, make it better for both of us? Yes,
So, in a lot
but
of ways, it is for both you and I some kind of processing system.
absolutely, 100% processing. But it's also sometimes it's about I like that person. It's a cool person, but that person's not my friend. And we don't have to be friends and still work
Right.
together peaceably. There are times when I have to do that too, where, I have a relationship with people and it's pretty good. But do I really want to continue on the path towards friendship and, lower the shields down a little bit more? No, that's another one. I'm finding myself saying, leaving the shields up more and more often, where there's a very select few that I can let in because there's so many things that I'd like to talk about that really
Right.
it can't be. A lot of things that we do can't be expressed. Uh,
Yeah.
like I mean, what we talk about really can't be expressed with a lot of the general public. Um, what Wayne comes up with, some of the Wayne's ideas. If I'm watching Wayne's videos, I think about it, I analyze it, and sometimes I write something in the comments and then I just delete and go, okay, I wrote it, and then I just delete it because I don't want to go, you know, because sometimes when I write something, I'm writing stream of consciousness just to put it on paper, look at it,
Mm-hmm.
go, yep, okay, I wrote it out,
Yeah, to
and I
get it
don't need to
out.
send it.
Right.
That happens a lot. I'm big doing that in a lot in videos where I'm only actually posting half of what I write in comments for videos because sometimes you write it just to because the video gives you something, but what you write in words doesn't express the whole sentiment what the person's going to read later. That's what I fear most is because sometimes I get responses from some of my comments that are, especially Facebook, that are not what I said at all, but I can see where they misunderstood. So
Right. Right.
that's
And
also the inner
it's
voices
good to just
analyzing it
write
too.
it out anyways, to just
Yeah.
get it out and be done so it's not that tape that's going and going and going and going. Like if you've already solved it or if there's nothing you can do, like everything's out of your hands, well then you gotta switch tapes. And so sometimes that helps to, change to a new subject in your mind.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Nina the Myth, thank you, Nina the Mystic. Thank you for coming. And if any of you aren't subscribe to Courtney's channel if you can. Um,
I guess.
I forget to do that sometimes, and it's in the link.
That's okay.
Her channel is in the link. If you subscribe to Courtney, get up to 500. We'll be much better off if
Yes.
Courtney get up to
Yes.
500.
Yes,
I can't
yes.
seem to stop getting subscribers. When I the things like when I do less, they go more. I think it's when I don't care anymore. If I don't
Yes,
care
that's the
anymore about a
point.
video,
Yeah,
it
maybe
just
if you stop analyzing and just start living it and doing and just having fun, that's when the subs come, right?
that's the truth. Is it seems like you don't if you don't care, you don't pay attention. This YouTube goes, hey, they need more subs. Like, why now? Please stop that. Explain to me. Teach me, YouTube. No, they don't teach anything.
So, do you think so? There's this concept that because we're talking about the inner voice that, then there's that thing of like stinking thinking, all the horrible stuff people tell themselves. That's crazy. It's not crazy. It's sad. Um, but can it be the opposite of that too? Like, can you just have so much fun inside your own brain, inside your own head?
Uh, well, again, multiple concepts. Yes. So if there's negative concepts in my head, I listen to that voice and I thank that voice for its input. And I use that. Go, okay, something about this that might be able to use because honestly, I believe that inner voice, even if it's negative, has value to it because if I ignore it, it's going to keep on going, getting worse.
Yeah,
But
right.
as I acknowledge that inner voice that's being negative, I hear you, and I don't entirely accept the whole concept, but I appreciate your input, and I want to use that information to pause it, and it becomes less. My inner voice has become less of a burden towards me, but also that negative inner voice is also the one to analyze others to say, wait, that person is suspicious. We got to watch out for that person. And sometimes they're not that bad. It's just I'm picking up clues that um, from initially it can indicate negatively unless you look at the whole picture. But and
Do you
yes,
think
it's yeah. And I also have a whole yes, I have whole scenarios go through my heads. Movies. I mean, if I'm watching a movie, I rewrite the movie sometime in my head to put
Yeah, oh
myself
yeah,
in it. I'm like,
totally.
yeah,
Yeah.
yep.
Do you think that this is what Socrates was talking about with like the inner demons? That inner voice that kind of nags at you of like you're not
Yes.
good enough or do this or whatever it may be.
Yeah, truly Socrates, yes, because I think Socrates was a well-rounded man, because he was military, he was an educator, he was a businessman. He did all these things before he retired and became a philosopher. So
Mm-hmm.
he truly was a gentleman philosopher. He truly was probably the pinnacle of any philosopher because he had the experience of life and he used it to teach others, but he used it in a way where he didn't give them the answers. He helped them find it themselves, which I think is, we can never ever stop thanking him for the Socratean method where he
Yeah.
teaches you to teach others by letting them pick up the ball and run with it.
Right. Yeah.
It's huge. It's huge when
It
teaching
is
others that
huge.
you can teach everything, given the best lesson entirely, but unless they can use it, it's garbage. It's not going to work out. Even if it's a
Right.
perfect lesson that everyone will learn from, each person needs to be involved in it, and you have to get them to answer questions. And when they ask a question, you have to get them to figure out themselves with help. But yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. They
good
have to
tea.
participate, experience it. Um, hmm. It's just interesting because we have that concept of the angel and the devil, throughout cartoons, even throughout, modern storylines of like the angel and the devil,
It's
kind of talking
funny
to you.
about late 1998. I sat down. It was the first time that I had the angels and the devil, and I actually named them because they actually were attributes of myself. And I sat with a friend of mine and we were talking about it. And of course, we were both Catholic, so having an angel and a devil on your shoulder is like, oh, angel, always listen to the angel. Well, the devil and the angel worked together, I realized. And it wasn't good or bad. It was just different aspects of how to, because you can address situations from a higher point and a lower point. And the idea is that we have to live in the middle of it because, if you're too
But is that
high,
inner voice?
you're right.
Is that inner voice? That
It's
concept.
just think it's inner voices. That's why I think I divided it up where too often if you're at the higher self, you get taken advantage of. And if you get to too much of a lower self, you take advantage of others. And the thing is we need to balance that up and listen to both of them so we can survive in this crazy world we live in. That's what I came up with years ago.
In 98. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember 98 because it was a tough time.
I hated 98. That's why I was like, do you say how much you hated 98 or not?
oh, it was, this is the reason because
Especially February of 98.
I don't know. I do know it was winter,
Yeah, dude. It
but I do
sucked.
know
98
at the
sucked.
time, my literally it was an intervention. Okay, a friend of mine said, "You were always a nice guy. You was dependable. You were and it was after the breakup of my first marriage, and things just went bad to worse. The more information I got, and unfortunately, her own extended family, her cousins and aunts, pulled me on the side and said, "Yeah, we don't have to lose connection. We can still, we can still be friends and everything because we live in the very same area."
Yeah.
But that made things worse on me because
Yeah.
it just seemed disingenuous. It seemed fake, and I turned around and I just had a fun. You know what? It might have been because it was about Christmas time where her family had said to me, "Hey, we can still hang out once in a while. We don't have to hang out together. We can separate. We can still be friends." And it was so difficult for me that I went through a tirade. And that New Year's in 98, 97, 98,
Yeah.
I was horrible, along with 2000. But that's another science.
And then
Anyway, yeah,
there's an intervention later.
it was intervention, and
Because you
I
were
got to
listening to that little devil, huh? Because you were listening to the devil
and he was
inside.
very effective because insightful, analytical. He knew how to read situations. The angel part would not need to read situations because he doesn't need to take advantage of anybody. It's all
Right.
about how can we help. The angel part be of service to others, and the devil part, don't mess with me. And then there's a balance where you want to be a service to others, but again, not have them take advantage of you too much, but also not take advantage of others too much. So it's like a teeter-totter, back and forth.
Like where did you get any percentages out there? Because it's something like, isn't it like 50-50? Like 50%
Oh,
might not have an inner voice and 50% do? I think it's kind of down the.
it's bad. It's
Oh, it's
30 to
bad.
50% have the inner voice. So that means 50 to 70 do not have inner voice. See, that's the problem. 30 to 50
They
have
gotta
it.
have something else going on, though. Like, do they have something else going on? Like, we're talking about inner hearing, right? That's what we're talking about, inner hearing. Or are we talking across the board of like your imagination? If you are more abstract and visual, that could be quote unquote like an inner voice kind of thing
It's
or
far
inner
more
thought.
complicated than that.
Oh, is it?
Literally, like I said, I have pages of information about what inner voice is. But again, it's not something that can be quantified. It's something that's personal. So you have to ask. That's why I would look in, because you have to ask the right questions of people. And what a person without inner voice, you have to figure out. Okay, what do you have any sound in your head? And some of those people say, no, I have pictures in my head, but they're all abstract pictures. They're just pictures of life. They don't interact. They're not, they're like, no, they're like pictures rather than movies. Inner voice people have movies. Non inner voice people have pictures.
Oh, okay.
Like let's say for me, if I hear a song, an old song comes into my head, earworm, I'm analyzing, I'm feeling what that song meant to me back when I first heard it, or when it had a connection to me. Well, a person with this is from the information I read. A person without inner voice can still hear the song in their head, but hear it just as a song on the radio. There's no actually, there's it's less than there's no physical emotional reaction to it.
Hmm.
I mean, heck, I was hearing the Wilson "Hold On" by Wilson Phillips, and I heard the song, and I thought it was a love song about that your relationship breaks up, but there's the right person comes in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Then it's like my brain's like, this is about ending the process of this life to start a new one. Let's just say that before, without getting demonetized.
What? Now I
Hold
gotta
on
go
for
back and
one
listen
more
to it.
day. Hold on for one more day. That is a code word for people who are looking for, okay, just one more day to get through, one more day to get through. Um,
I know that there's pain. So, oh my God, we now have to
exactly.
everybody listen to that song because we can't sing it here because of copyright and blah blah
So,
blah.
but again, I
Wow.
didn't look into it until after I let myself process through it. But no, the song's about drug addiction and about
Okay.
addiction. Actually, it's about addiction, period, about any kind of addiction
Yeah.
where it kind of brings your life down, where you actually fall into addiction because you're not getting other needs met. So, person who has a bad relationship falls into addiction, but as they going through the process of recovery, some of those people that they were with, that they fell into addiction, they realize this person is actually supporting my addiction, and I have to let them go so I
Yeah.
can move on to my future addiction free, and let those people go. It is that song.
Bro.
It sounds like a pop. It's basically when it was hard for them to actually get it onto the radio, because initially they said, "Oh, this is too poppy," until someone heard and goes, "No, this is the one," and
Yeah,
it
that
became hugely
album
popular
had so many. Yeah.
because it
Wow.
sounds like a pop song, but it's on so many levels and so many meanings. So after the fact, I looked into it. So no, it's about drug recovery or addiction recovery. I'm like, it's not anything
Well, that
about
make
ending
wow.
this process. It's about, but it's a fascinating song, and it, of course, it got stuck on my head. along with
And it
other
makes you
songs.
feel something. So, like we were talking about, when you hear that, most of us, I think, when we hear that song or whatever song that, ignites emotions, that's attached to inner voice aspects as well.
Could you repeat that because
Okay,
I
you
got
had said
confused.
before we started talking about
Yeah.
um, the song that when you hear a song or you think of a song, it invokes some kind of feelings of how you felt prior to listening to it when
Yes.
it first came
Yes.
out. That is also associated with inner voice aspects, the emotional part.
That's one person's opinion
Ah,
that I could.
okay.
I looked for. I went through 4 different psychologists and psychiatrists and behavioral people who are trying to define something that, again, it's hard to define something that no one else can experience. It's all from a personal point of view. So you got to drag it out of people's who are willing to talk. They had
So,
to use, yeah, they also had to use 2 kinds of people: extroverts who are willing to talk. But the funny thing is, the introverts usually have more of an inner voice. It's like, wait, what? So the extroverts are more like willing to talk about it, but the introverts usually have much more of a wide
of
range
a
of
strong,
aspects of
yeah.
it.
Okay.
It's like a kaleidoscope rather
Okay.
than a painting. It's really weird.
Okay. So here's the thing, and folks, I think we're going to be talking about this again next week on my channel. It'll have to be pre-recorded because I still need 500 subs. Um, Lucky. So here's the thing. I don't know then how they're coming up with their numbers. If it's such a big abstract, uh, you know, you can't pinpoint exactly what it is. It must just be certain statistics that they're looking at through all their questionnaires. What I did though is I did put it out on social media to ask people, how many of you have an inner voice? And I've asked it in the past during shows, I've asked it here, I've asked it there. The majority of the people that did answer said they did. Now, I don't know if that's because they feel comfortable to, and people that don't know if they have one or not, they don't feel safe to answer. I don't know. That I'm not sure of. But the various answers are interesting. And one of the top ones is that people would say, yes, I do have one, but it's not present all the time. Yes, I do have one, but I have to get real quiet to hear it. So, one of the big questions, I guess, within me is maybe everyone actually has one, but it has to be activated or like it's just dormant. And so something needs to happen to kickstart the inner voice rocking and rolling as much as mine does or yours does for for these people. That I will say, either they have one and it's very active, like you and I, and or they have one, but it's very subtle and quiet. And often it feels as if it's not present because it's so quiet. What do you think about that?
I don't like to go on everything, everyone, because I believe there's so many. In my experience, there've been so many different kinds of people. I don't think some of them have inner voices because I don't. They don't like. They don't think.
Jeez.
And to me, inner voice is the conscious, is the thought, is the one who, before you do something, even for a microsecond, there's a like for me, a lot of times before I make a decision, I already made a decision in my head before I even physically do something, and I see someone else do something entirely stupid. And I mean, sometimes you do things to see what would happen. But other times, people just, why did you just do that? And they're like, I don't know. And that. so I, I just don't think people have that part of them. I think there's yes huge, and then there's a rainbow of to very minor, very small, and then there's like nothing, zero. So I believe there's a zero for inner voice, but there's also a one and then 100, that kind of thing, where you get people who have so little inner voice, but some who have so many of an inner voice. It's yes, I don't
So
think
do you
there's
think
I
out
don't
of
think
that
oh no
50 or 70% that would quote unquote not have an inner voice, that all of them just flat out, or maybe it's only like 15 or 20% of the population does not have one? Like, what do you think? And that it's
uh,
just your opinion.
in my opinion, I think 50% of the people just don't have
How
anything in their
much?
head.
50?
50. I think it's fit. I think the 50 to, I think the 50 to the 30 between the 30 that actually have it and the 20 that in between I don't think it's 70. I think it's 50. And I think between 50 and, was it 20, 30, 20? Those 20 who are between the no inner voice and the inner voice, those 20 have a little tiny one that can be grown from there. So I believe an inner voice can be grown, but again, I don't think everyone has the potential until you get the right seeds. It's so complex. My brain again analyzes
No,
absolutely
no, I
everything. So
get it. I get it. I mean, I do get it. It's scary because, I think, therefore I am. Um,
mm,
so
that's it.
it's
Too
a
many
little
people just don't.
scary.
I mean, these things. Oh, that's cool. These are no think. These are do not think. You're not here to think.
Yeah, I mean, it would explain a lot, but I think once in one of our programs long ago, when we were rambling on about this out of some snippet that we were talking about, I had said, I wonder if that's actually a part of the Great Awakening then. Like, could you imagine if the Great Awakening was actually that 50% that you're talking about that never heard of an inner voice? There is no such thing as angel and demon within them for reason and logic, right? There's nothing within them that does that does all the processing that we about at the beginning. And then all of a sudden, boom, there it is. And a grand amount of 50% of people's minds, boom, there you go. Here's forethought. Go create. Do you think that that might be a part of what people talk about the Great Awakening? I mean, awakening would really represent that of like you are greater and higher and more conscious, evolved than where we are now, right? So I know that was kind of a little tangent, but it's very hard for me to just kind of, I guess, accept 50% of people. And I know it's your opinion, and the facts are not out there yet. Like, the world does not know yet that we're babes in researching this stuff.
Well, the problem comes is that when they finally figure out what really people have or do not have it, it means they'll get into our brains to hear it. At that point, things become scary because that means they can read our minds. So, in order to figure out if people really don't have an inner voice or people really do have an inner voice, they have to get into our brain chatter and be able to hear it.
Bro, they already do that. The AI already reads our minds.
I don't
It's
think so.
not just I do. I ran
I know you.
experiments, yeah.
I know it listens to everything we do, but I don't think it has the capacity to get into our heads yet. But
I think it does.
it's a fast track.
I
It,
really think it does. Okay, so everybody run an experiment. We're going to do this every year until. Okay, how I know, Lucky, because, and I've run different experiments based on this. It was 2 years ago. I'm in the bedroom, I'm folding laundry. I am not verbally saying anything. I am not writing anything down. I am folding laundry and I'm thinking about my Christmas list. What am I going to get people? What is going on? How much money you got, Courtney, to get people stuff? I'm a giver. It's how I show my love, right? It's one of my love languages. I'm not verbally saying anything. I'm not writing anything down. I am simply folding the laundry, but the phone is near me. I shit you not, Lucky. 2 days later, one of the items that I was like, oh, I'm going to have to look that up. I wonder how much that is, came through my feed. And it's not anything that was talked about. It's not anything, because I do unique things. I'm not just going to get you, I mean, I am going to probably get you socks, but I'm going to get you also something cool. What I'm saying is that caught my eye. Yeah. Holy shit, that was in my mind. I know for a fact I didn't write it down or say it. So then for a few times, I've run 4 different experiments now. And one of them, and so how I run them is that I will say, okay, time to run another experiment. And this is all in my brain, my inner voice. And I'll say, you're going to pick one image, like one image, and just focus on that image throughout the week or the couple of days until AI presents you with it. Or one thought, like I just quoted, I think therefore I am. So a quote or a movie or something. I'm going to think about this movie over and over, whatever it may be. You all understand. So let's say but I'll take something random like a rake. Why would I ever be daydreaming about a damn rake? Right? I'm doing it for a reason. And I will shit you not, Lucky. Then all of a sudden in my feed, Home Depot wants to try to sell me a rake. It'll come through. AI does pick up our thoughts, but what I'm thinking is it depends on what kind of frequency the inner thoughts are at. It's not perfect yet, but it can do it. So everybody run your own experiments. Think of coffee pots and snowblowers and elephants and whatever you need to think of that is very random in your life and see what happens. Gotta do it, Lucky. It'll freak you out, dude. It'll freak you out. And then I just learned to accept it.
I've done it, but also I think that I also do things that give hints. If I do something totally out of the norm for me, it's less likely than something that is closer to something that I actually would pursue without saying anything about it. I've had experience like that, but again, I think that I give hints that's why the AI can figure things out. But that's just my experience. I analyze everything. So, yes, that's the problem. That's the problem. My inner voice has experiments going off left and right.
But you don't think you can control yourself with giving hints? Do you think you can control your thoughts?
Don't think subconsciously. I don't think we can. No.
Okay, what about consciously?
It's subconscious. You're gonna automatically do little things here and there. It's just not. It's just how our brains will always give hints. There's nothing we can do about it. It's just how we are. Your brain does it. That's like you always give hints. That's just how you are.
I don't think so, man. No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so. I control. I control. But that's another thing too. Do you think that inner voice is attached to your subconscious?
Yes. But I have multiple. So some are and some aren't. So yes.
Okay. Do you think that that is actually a part of it though? Like
yes.
Just for any general person?
Yes. It gives a voice. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And unfortunately, I think the more negative self-talk is more subconscious things that you didn't address, and they just keep coming up because you're not getting attention. And the only way to get attention is to be obnoxious about it. I think the negative self-talk is probably the most subconscious messages come out. That's just from my point of view, trying to figure this out.
Dude, we're going to have to talk about the subconscious at some point then. We're going to have to. That'd be fun.
There's plenty of room, plenty of time.
Plenty of time. That's right.
But also, I am in a great relationship with my, well, the ego, blah, 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 ego. The negative self-talk and the ego go together. And I think getting along great with them helps make it less of a problem. Whenever negative self-talk comes up, it's not as bad as it used to be because I listen to it and give it time, give it compassionate listening. Don't have to take it up. Don't have to pick it up. Don't have to do anything with it. Just listen. Yeah, okay. I understand what you're saying, and I appreciate it.
You don't analyze it?
Negative self-talk, you really can't. Well, yes, I do analyze it, but I analyze it in a way of, is there any benefit from this? And a lot of times it hurts too much and there's no benefit from it. But again, I appreciate your input. I'm going to put it aside until I can look at it from a more of an unbiased point of view. But until then, it's just going to stay over here. But I do appreciate your input, sort of thing. But also that inner voice can say things about other people that are just outright cruel and wrong.
Yeah, and horrible, yeah. So lucky. All right. If I think therefore I am, and then you're telling me that 50% probably aren't thinking, they got to be thinking. There's some form of consciousness. I mean, there is some form of consciousness, right? So there's just no processing, like we were saying before.
It's very little analysis, probably. Very little analysis, because everything that they could have or want is on the tips of their fingers.
So therefore, when I talk all the time on my channel about conscious awareness,
yeah,
because that is the ultimate, full conscious awareness. They're lacking just awareness then. Because there's got to be enough consciousness for motor functions and functioning and doing your job and getting the A's and the B's. But self-awareness, grand awareness, do you think that that's possible to obtain if you don't have an inner voice?
No.
Why do we think the numbers are the way they are? The percentages.
Because sometimes thinking hurts. The more you think, the more you see, and the more you realize, I need to improve myself.
Yeah, but the way you're saying is that these people were just born without it. So why is 50% of the population endowed with it at birth and 50% are not?
I don't know.
Like, isn't that weird? Because I know that they talk about how this might have been some form of evolution of our speech. We developed it at some point.
I mean, it could also be a taught thing where parents pass it on to their children that thinking too much doesn't benefit anybody. Just going through, because in society, the way to get ahead is to do what the tribe wants. At school, the information comes in, you give it back. That's what school is like. So thinking is really, they tell you they want people to analyze and think, but they want it within a certain aspect. So it's more of analysis on the page rather than in the head.
So you might be saying like, hey, no, actually, everybody might be born with it, but
I'm saying everyone's not born with it. Genetics. I'm saying some people, some lineages don't have it. When you say everyone and no one, I can't live like that. Everyone is, we're we're aspects of different
I know,
things.
but we're talking
There's
about the 50% that you think don't have it. I'm just
yeah,
generalizing the 50%.
okay.
As in, is it genetic or is it how you were just saying, is it nature versus nurture? Or is it like a mix of all this
I'm
stuff? Like,
telling you, it's too complicated for our little brains to even understand because like I said, they don't understand. They're trying. They have pages. Each psychiatrist has pages of trying to get an idea, a grasp on this concept. They don't even understand. So for us to figure out why some do and some don't, it's difficult for us to just for you and I to figure out when scientists can't even figure it out when they have much more um, resources than we could ever think of.
well, I know, I'm just asking your opinion. Why do you think? Like, do you think it's nature versus nurture? Do you think it's genetics? Do you think like it's a
I,
mixture and a mixture of all of it or
I think it's the aspect of a successful society. Some of the most successful societies needs people who follow the rules and live as it is and just follow as they're told. But another aspect is needs people who think outside the box. You need both for a successful society. If everyone's analyzing everything, then some people will never get anything done. While other people who don't analyze and just do what they're told, they get things done because they follow the rules. But again, in order for things to improve, you need to change a little bit. So I think they need both of us. I think we need the ones who have inner voice and the ones who do not have inner voice, and then the aspect of each. I think that's what makes a successful society because we live in big cities. I think the more big cities we have, the more people without inner voice are gonna succeed because just follow, just do what you're told.
I agree with that. I do. I agree with that. I fully agree with that. I guess I'm looking at the root though. Like with that explanation it would be as if there was a choice in the matter or there was
There's no choice.
a
It's
or
genetic.
someone or something above is like dictating who's got one and who doesn't have one. And I
No,
don't
I'm
believe in a
saying Mother
god that
Nature.
does that.
I'm not saying there's a God. I think it's just Mother Nature saying, okay, for
Okay, so
society
Mother
to improve,
Nature.
it's people who because honestly, a lot of people with inner voice might not complete their life path because they get so frustrated with everything that come in on. Well, if you don't have an inner voice, the inner struggles tend to be a lot less, if
So
not anything.
nature, so
Yeah,
this is a nature versus nurture thing. This is a
I think it's more of a
kind of
nature
very
and
dark
nurture.
and
Yeah,
yeah, and it's also a little bit of Darwinism. It sounds like, survival of the fittest.
yeah.
Um, so you do think that this is more just nature, just human biology. Either you do or you don't.
No, I think it's unfortunately, I think it's so complicated that again, we could spend another hour trying to figure out what this is, and I don't know. And I have analyzed this back and forth a bunch of times, talking to different people, and whether it's born with or from genetics or was developed from the culture, I think it's an aspect of both. I think it's also nurture. I
Yeah,
think
it's
it's
gotta
some
be.
nature and some nurture, and that's why it's 30 to 50% rather than 50-50. Because I think between that 50, the 20% in those are the people who aspect of some of it off and on. They're the ones who have it and then get rid of it and use it, don't use it back and forth. Then there's the top 30 who actually use it all the time and they're crazy people because they're always analyzing everything,
Well,
figuring out
yeah,
everything.
we're talking as if this is a blessing to have it. It might not be.
Yeah,
It might not be. I mean, I've witnessed people ask very good questions pertaining to this of does it get in the way of you living a successful life? Does it get in the way of you being happy? Does it get in the way of you having peace? The minutia that goes on in your brain. So we're assuming that because we have it that it's a good thing. It might not be a good thing.
yeah. True, 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 true,
We don't know,
true.
right?
That's the problem, and I don't think we'll ever really get a solution.
Yeah. I mean, I listened to a girl, it was a quick little thing, and she was like, well, how do people manifest then? And how, she asked so many questions that they were great questions. And I
No, but
couldn't
the thing
tell
is,
if she had an inner voice or didn't have an inner voice because she was asking questions for both sides.
but that's the thing. I think she does have an inner voice because she's asking how do people manifest, which means she's considering how can I manifest, which means she has a conscious thought as wanting to manifest. So if you want to manifest, you have to have the idea of that I want to change the reality that I live in to create something that for myself. If you can think about
Okay.
manifesting, which means you have the idea that I have the power to change my reality, which means you have an inner voice to say, I can live outside the reality. While those without inner voices, they just live on the reality that they're given.
Oh. Oh,
Mhm.
shit. Okay, now I'm understanding what you're saying. They're just
Yeah,
living the reality that they're given. They're just playing the deck, the cards that they were dealt.
you got it.
Oh, hell no, you throw them bitches out. Burn that cards down. No. Mm-mm. Okay, wow. Wow. Wow, okay. Well, yeah, I don't know, dude, because then I don't know. That means I should still get 500 subs, though, because there's at least 500 people out there that would understand what I'm saying.
I think you could get 500 subs, but you have to take that block that might be somewhere in your way to say between you and 500 subs, like what is it preventing you from getting 500 subs? It might be something in the universe, as a stopgap, as a preventative,
No,
as a
I
goal.
just meant that there's got to be at least 500 people out there that understand the words coming out of my mouth because they have an inner voice. Because
Yes,
lucky the problem is the majority of then what I am talking about, if what you are saying is accurate, and I'm not saying it is accurate, this is
right.
all hypothetical. If
That's
what
it.
you are
Yes,
saying that you just roll with what life gives you, then the words that come out of my mouth every single week will make absolutely no sense to that person. So I'm happy that there's at least 30 to 50 people or 50% of people out there that do have some kind of conscious thought because then I can at least get to 500 subs. That's what
oh,
I meant by that.
absolutely,
That's what I meant
absolutely.
by that. Is
That
that
that even if it's just 30%, even if it's just, let's just say just 10% of population, 10% that have inner
exactly,
voice.
exactly
There's plenty of people who would be interested in this kind of thing, even if it's 10%. So
right?
yeah,
Exactly. But that is I don't know, dude. Do you know what I was just thinking about? Planet of the Apes. I mean, this really makes me think about Planet of the Apes. Uh, I don't know. We're gonna finish this next week, right?
yeah, yeah. We're gonna have to table this because honestly, we could go on another hour or two for this because again, it's a fascinating subject, and I thought that I just get a couple questions that because they had a test for it. I figured I get a couple questions, get an idea of this thing, and as I'm reading, I'm like, there are aspects of inner voice that I never considered, and then I learned more about my own inner voice. So yes,
Oh,
it's a
good.
fascinating subject, and it's
Cool.
complicated. And psychiatrists and psychologists and scientists, they don't even have a thumb on it.
Yeah. Maybe they're not meant to.
So everyone, if you're watching this replay, or I think everyone here actually are already subscribed to Courtney's channel. Thank you for coming and watching my show. Subscribe to Courtney, and she's got plenty of great stuff. Always something interesting on that channel, especially the Edgar Casey. Love Edgar Casey. You can't not love Edgar Casey stories.
Yeah. Yeah. That's Wednesdays, folks. Oh, thanks everybody for coming into the chat.
Okay, so anything else you want to sum up with?
No, I think next Friday we're gonna be on my channel. It will be pre-recorded, but I think this will be because there was a lot of food for thought tonight. Lucky, I'm not really sure what to do with this because I love them all. They're all lovely, all the
So,
humans. Ah, kind of hurt my brain, Lucky.
well, this is my life all the time, unfortunately.
Oh shit.
Sitting there
Have a
talking to an
happy
owl.
Friday, everybody.
So Andromeda 7 Celestial Gateway is on right now. So transfer over to them. There's that's a go right through them right there. And if you have time, subscribe to Courtney. If you're watching my channel, thank you for watching my channel. Have anything to say? If you want to insult me, I love it because I can learn from that. You can't really hurt my feelings because I love YouTube and I use YouTube as a sounding board. So if people are mean on YouTube, it's just like a gesture, court gesture. It's not meant as anything serious. But that's just me. That's how I play the game. So everyone, thank you for coming. Thank you for being here. Please go out and and was it be the frequency you want to receive, that kind of thing. Thank you, Robert. I don't know what Robert V's doing tomorrow, but I'm sure it'll be something interesting. Okay. Good night, everybody.
Bye, folks.